But let us not forget that what took generations and centuries to break can never be fixed overnight.
Tonight, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau goes to the Kamloops Indian Residential School a few weeks after Reconciliation Day. Mary May Simon, Canada's first Indigenous Governor-General, makes her first state visit.
It is the heaviest contest in the world.
And a Cree man from Alberta pulls his weight right onto the world stage of strongman competitions. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in Kamloops, BC today to meet with Kamloops Secwepemc leaders. The nation found more than 200 unmarked graves at a site of a former residential school there last spring. Well, this morning, Trudeau met with members of the nation and other dignitaries to honor residential school survivors and children who never made it home. Trudeau said that Canada was ready to partner on reconciliation. Cookby Roseanne Casimir said the community needs peaceful resolution, calling on the federal government and the Catholic Church to release documents and bring meaningful action to address the harm that's been done. Well, Assembly of First Nations Chief Roseanne Archibald, she addressed the crowd earlier today.
These medicines that I've just handed out are our bond, our connection. They are sacred, and they signal that we will walk the healing path forward together in a good way. The key part of our work together is that we change behaviors and we take concrete actions rather than empty words and empty, hollow apologies.
Ceremonies are continuing right now with Justin Trudeau's visit to Kamloops. APTN's Tina House is there and she joins us live. Tina, can you tell us some of the highlights of today's events with Prime Minister making his first visit to where the 215 children were found?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Today was an incredible day. A lot of emotion here in this amazing arbor here at the Kamloops Secwepemc. Justin Trudeau walked the grounds this morning. He paid his respects to the graves and the children that were found here. Many of the leaders blasted the Prime Minister that there should be more of accountability, more action instead of just talking, and I'm sure that was felt throughout the country as everybody was wanting more for action from the Prime Minister to move on these issues. Joining me today, I've got two survivors that actually attended the former residential school, and they have a lot to say about what that time spent was like. Joining me is Marie Antoine.
Yes.
From the Bonaparte First Nation. Can
Yes.
you tell me about your experience here at the school?
I was brought here in 1946, and I stayed here till 1956. So I was here from the time I was 6 years old, and I didn't graduate, but I left school in 1956 because they told me I was too old to be here. And what they did for me when I left was they found me a job. Instead of sending me home, they found me a job in town so that I was close by for them to monitor me and how I was doing with my work. But it was a rough 10 years for me. The only reason why I wanted to come here was because my older sisters all got picked up about the same time, and I was the only one home. I was the youngest, and I got thrown in a truck anyway, a cattle truck, and brought here. And after a while I realized what I had done, but I couldn't go home anymore. They wouldn't allow me to go home. I was here for forever. Seemed like forever anyway.
Diane, Sandy, you've also attended this former residential school. What was your experience like here, if you could share with us?
Well, the first time we were brought here in a cattle truck.
There was kids from Littlewood, Pavilion, Fountain, and Bonaparte. And we were brought to the front of the school here. He didn't care about the transportation he brought us in. We were laid out in front of the school here. The boys had to be put to one side and us girls on the other. There was no welcome, no saying, you know, we're here to look after you or to help you, or the hurt will always be there. It'll never be erased. And the first thing they did was line us up in a hallway, cut off our braids, poured coal oil over our heads to get, they said, the lice and nets out of our heads that we didn't even know we had at the time, or we did have, or whatever. And after all that, what did they do with the hair? That was part of our spirit, as we were told, our hair. That's part of the degrading part about the residential school.
Earlier today, you both lined up to talk directly to the Prime Minister, and it was your son that asked for him to directly apologize to you two. Did that apology make a difference in your healing today?
A little bit, yeah, but you'd never bring back all of the things we missed in my childhood anyway. All the things that we would have done naturally at home that we never did here. We were always treated like animals, line up for everything that we did. To go pray first thing in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, until about 7, 8 o'clock, and then they fed us. Food was awful.
We appreciate your time today, and I'm sorry we don't have much more time to spend, but we really appreciate your words today, and we wish you all the best in your healing, and thank you for joining us today. Back to you in studio.
Thanks for that, Tina. We appreciate you finding those elders to hear from tonight. Well, it is a night of firsts here on APTN National News. It's the first time newly elected Governor General embarks on a state visit, and it's also the first time that APTN has sent correspondents to report on it all. Lindsay Richardson brings us this story from Berlin, Germany, where she's with Mary May Simon, Canada's first Inuk Governor General.
Mary May Simon arrived to a Queen's welcome in Berlin, or at the very least, a welcome worthy of the Queen's representative in Canada. This 3-day trip to Germany is Simon's first since her history-making appointment to the role of Governor General, and Canada's first state visit to Germany in 20 years. The agenda was packed. A tête-à-tête with the German president at the palatial Schloss Bellevue, a visit to the Humboldt Forum to see Haida totem poles purchased in the 1800s, a fist bump with former German President Angela Merkel, a photo op with the mayor of Berlin beneath the Brandenburg Gate, and at least 3 guest book signings. The goal of the visit is to strengthen the political relationship between Germany and Canada. And while leaders were happy to meet her, so were the hangers-on. The feeling, it seems, is mutual.
You love Canada? Yeah.
Where's your school?
I love Germany.
After a breakneck, breakless day of public visits, just past the stroke of 7, the day ended much as it began. With music, the utmost formality, and no room for discomfort. After greeting dozens of guests at the presidential residence, Simon and her husband retired to a private state dinner for a bit of respite before waking up and doing it all again tomorrow. The overall agenda of the state visit combines cultural and political events. And for Simon, it also provides an important opportunity to discuss Canada's painful residential schools legacy and its lasting impacts on First Nations, Inuit and Métis across the country. In a written statement, Simon says she hopes to, quote, reconcile past mistakes with future hope. The visit continues tomorrow in Frankfurt with the opening of their namesake book fair, where Canada is the guest of honor this year. Lindsay Richardson, APTN National News, Berlin.
Thanks for that, Lindsay, and Tamara Pimentel, who is there with her behind the camera. We need to take a break, but still ahead, first-degree murder charges in the death of Nunavut actress Emerald McDonald. We'll have that after the break. Stay with us. The murder of Nunavut actress Emerald McDonald saddened the territory back in May. 5 months later, Nunavut RCMP have announced that they have laid first-degree murder charges in the case. McDonald's body was found outside her home of Gluglutuk in Nunavut back in May. Scott Halla has been arrested over the weekend and charged with first-degree murder in McDonald's death. Halla also faces a separate attempted murder charge involving another woman last spring. He will appear in court on November 23rd. He's currently being held in custody. McDonald gained recognition for her breakout role in The Grizzlies, a movie about her high school learning through lacrosse. Well, Manitoba is expanding eligibility for a third dose of COVID-19 vaccine to First Nations people who are living on reserve.
We are expanding third dose eligibility today to First Nations people living on reserve. These third doses will be administered at least 6 months after the second dose, which means as of today, approximately 7,200 people will be eligible. I would say we will likely see third doses to those eligible available within the month to all 63 communities. That was roughly the length of time it took us in each of the earlier phases.
Officials say people living on reserve will likely get the same vaccine as their earlier doses, which was Pfizer. Well, now to North of 60, where our unique program to honor Indigenous veterans is underway. Our reporter Charlotte Mort-Jacobs takes us takes a look at the progress that's being made one headstone at a time.
It's a way to honor sacrifices made by Indigenous veterans in the Northwest Territories.
Joe Powder was born in Kamloops, Portage, Saskatchewan. His gentle nature, love of people, and
Edna Powder of Fort Smith is here to remember her cousin Joseph Xavier Powder, who left his community to serve in World War II.
I think the Indigenous people were not treated well. They were not given the money that the others were. You know, they didn't support them even though they were in the army.
This time last year, there was only an unmarked cross in this Yellowknife cemetery. But that changed with the help of Floyd Powder, a veteran and a researcher with the Last Post Fund, a national charity helping identify Indigenous veterans.
And I'm really happy about this because this stone will be here for ages.
Also in attendance, Kathy Alalu, who answered the call for information regarding Joseph Powder.
Yeah, thank you,
Kathy, for identifying.
Yes, thank you very much.
She remembered him from canoe trips in an area where he was known to take people out hunting and trapping.
And he started to tell stories, and he had some wonderful stories of his time with the military.
This year, a total of 11 headstones have been provided by the Last Post Fund in Yellowknife, Bechucon, Fort Simpson, Hay River, and Fort Smith.
Well, I think that the headstone says it all, lest we forget. I think we do forget the sacrifice that people have made and the contribution.
For the Powder family, the recognition has been a long time coming.
Joe had a lot of relatives, a lot of sisters and brothers, so I'm sure Dorothy, when she comes, she'll be really happy to see this.
With the current COVID-19 outbreak, ceremonies have been postponed, but are scheduled to resume June 2022. Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
A 4-part TV series with new insights into how the province of British Columbia was formed is now airing on the Knowledge Network. APTN's Tina House shows us why that matters to Indigenous people there.
British Columbia, a province with a rich and diverse past that is now being showcased in a 4-part series called British Columbia, An Untold History.
British Columbia is truly a very recent experiment. It's really only 150 years old. Whether it was the fur trade or the gold rush, people came here to chase their dreams. It's a place where you could do that.
It was the promised land, and to some extent it still is a kind of promised land for a lot of people.
Producer Lena Minifee says, as an Indigenous person growing up, she wasn't taught in school a lot of what the series talks about, and says it's time to reveal what really happened.
The reason I wanted to be involved is because nothing has been sort of this expansive and this deep within BC history and inclusive. I'm always into really looking at things through a multi-narrative lens. That's how stories actually are made, by seeing everyone's seat around the fire, because everyone has a story to contribute and to add.
Over 70 interviews were conducted across the province, and 10,000 archives were utilized to create the 4-part series, with each part exploring different topics, showcasing a vast array of perspectives on how BC came to be.
Although Indigenous people have been living here for millennia, if we're going to tell the origin story of what we call British Columbia, we need to go back to one event, the Fraser Canyon War.
I'm really privileged to have the time to read through all these stories and sort of dig in and see all these archives. And I think we're on a momentum and a change for the future of making sure that we represent our communities.
British Columbia, An Untold Story, made its premiere on the Knowledge Network on October the 12th, and it's being streamed on their website. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Well, it's time for us to take another break, but here's a peek at a story that we're working on for you.
I'm Lee Wilson. Coming soon from northern BC, the Sycas First Nation says forestry companies and the province must obtain their consent before doing any logging on their territory.
Starting today, things in our territory will be done our way, the right way. The best traditions of the past combined with the best of forest and resource management practices of today.
This story coming soon on APTN National News.
Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. Aidan Withers submitted this photo of 5-year-old Maverick dressed with his cedar hat, star blanket, and his medicine bag. Looking good there, little Maverick, and thanks for sharing, Aidan. For the chance to be featured as our next photo of the day, be sure to send your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Let's take a look now at tomorrow's weather forecast. 11 and showers expected for Fredericton, 11 and sunshine for Charlottetown. La Grande River, mix of sun and cloud, and 8 degrees. Nain, showers and 6. Saguenay, 7 with a chance of showers. Saint Jovite, 11 and sunshine. 18 and sunny for North Bay, 20 for Toronto and London. Sunshine continues up north to 17s for Kapuskasing, 13 but cloudy for Sioux Lookout. 4 and showers for Norway House, God's Lake, 4 and a mix of sun and cloud. Mix of sun and cloud also for Winnipeg and 10 degrees there. 7 for Dauphin and a chance of showers. Sunshine and 7 for Saskatoon. Rain and 8 for Regina. 4 for La Ronge and Buffalo Narrows, mostly sunny there. Same with Uranian City. Sunshine and 5 for Fort Mac. 3 and sunny for High Level. 8 and sunny for Red Deer and Edmonton. 11 in sunshine for Medicine Hat. 17 and sunny for Kamloops and Penticton. Tofino, 15 and mostly sunny. Prince Rupert, a mix of sun and cloud and 12 degrees. 10 and a chance of showers for Prince George. Dawson City and Mayo, both 0. Same with Watson Lake, but sunny there. Sunny for Wrigley, 0 there as well. Wattie, sunshine and 2. Inuvik, -8 and sunny skies. Tuktoyaktuk, chance of flurries at 1 degree. Baker Lake, -4 with a mix of sun and cloud. New Yacht, mix of sun, mostly sunny, but with -4 there too. Joe Haven, flurries, -4. Arctic Bay, -5 and flurries. In weather from another part of the world, a gigantic water spout loomed over the coast of Cuba this weekend after forming near the port city of Cienfuegos. Water spout is a phenomenon that results in the formation of vertical water funnels. Unlike twisters or whirlwinds, water spouts rarely cause damage. They tend to form in warm bodies of water and are smaller and weaker than normal tornadoes. This is some footage of the weather phenomenon forming below dark clouds in Cuba. No injuries or damage was reported by authorities after Saturday's occurrence. Still neat to see. Colton Sloan from the Whitefish Lake First Nation in Alberta made history this weekend. He placed second in the National Amateur Strongman competition in the heavyweight division. Sloan is the first Indigenous person in the country to earn their pro card in strongman competition. Instead of traditional weights, competitors lift and pull cars, barrels, and other heavy objects. He says he's been powerlifting for the competition for 3 years. Sloan now has his sights on the Arnold Classic Strongman competition coming up in the United States next March.
As a pro, we're allowed to do it once. And if you win that one, you get to do the Arnold Schwarzenegger's show as a professional, which is guys that are the world's strongest men. It is the heaviest contest in the world. And it's a huge opportunity to get on a bigger platform, to make bigger waves, to meet amazing people.
A major Toronto art fair returns in person this year, featuring over 60 exhibits, a quarter of which will showcase Indigenous artwork. Art Toronto will run Halloween weekend and will include the works of contemporary artists. Mary Hupfield is one of them. She is an Anishinaabe performer from Wissahickon First Nation. Her career took her to places like New York before moving back to Canada. Jason Berg is another artist who will be making waves at this year's fair. He is a Cree Métis from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and will be talking about decolonizing museums. Both artists say the Indigenous art scene in Canada is necessary and is growing each year.
Art has the opportunity to magnify our voices and our concerns, our passions, our culture. So, yeah, I just feel really honored to do this work.
I think there's this idea that, you know, we're at a moment where there's even more artists, but in actuality, I think there's always been lots of artists. We've always been working, we've always been doing things, but we haven't had a chance to be present and to really be visible and for our work to get out there. So I think this is a good moment to acknowledge that and to not only think about the people who came before us, but that by acknowledging all of that, we can really start to write ourselves into history and be unstoppable with what comes next.
Well, that is your APTN News to kick off the week. You can always find more Indigenous news on our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Melissa Ridgen. We're going to leave you with some more of Inuk Governor General Mary May Simon's state visit to Berlin. It's the first Inuk representative of Canada. So here, let's take a look at her travels.
Find a good night's sleep. It's not easy after a fight like that. But,